Welcome! My name is Kelly.
My name's Jamie.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. And this is a Whatcha Watchin' where we talk about what we've been watching recently. And I have absolutely no news to give at this point, which sometimes I do. Quite often I do. And the news is that I hope you're having a great day.
Yeah, that's a fantastic bit of news.
Yeah. And so let's just get straight to the reason we're here, the things that we want to geek out about. So Jamie,
yeah,
what have you been watching?
Well, Kelly, I'm so glad you asked. Since last time, I have actually caught up on a couple of things I was really excited to finally watch. I finally finished She-Ra, which was so much fun. I was so enamored with how everything developed over the course of the seasons and how everything ended. And obviously, I'm sure people have talked plenty about She-Ra on this show before, so this is not news to anybody.
But still, boy, it's so fun to talk about and geek out about it.
Oh my goodness. It was so positive. It was so, aggressively, it's gonna be about hope and love and kindness and good things, and there's not gonna be apologies for that. It's gonna be about those things winning. And I was like, I haven't encountered something like this in a while. This is amazing.
Oh, that is like the perfect description of this show.
Yeah.
Yes, it's unapologetically positive. I love that phrasing. It truly is love and hope in life, and this is it. This is what we want. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still following along with how current My Hero Academia is, and I'm loving that.
Yes.
Having good times there. A couple other super quick ones. I finally got around. I think I was texting you about this, actually. I finally got around to watching Weathering with You.
Yes!
Which just broke my heart. In such a wonderful way. And I absolutely loved it. I just recently, in fact, just maybe a couple weeks ago, I stumbled across the song again, the big one that I believe is the most famous song from that movie, which I think is called Great Escape, or maybe Grand Escape.
Grand Escape or something. Yes.
And I just hadn't sought it out after I watched the movie, no particular reason, and it just stumbled across YouTube again, and now I'm listening to it every day, right?
Yes. I mean, these soundtracks are so good. It just even just listening to the music makes your heart break into 5 million pieces again.
and of course it brings to mind all of the different scenes and moments from that movie, and the actual story of the film was wonderful, fantastic, and I loved it. But the last maybe half hour, or the last 25 minutes, there are some scenery and animation things that they do that just were so astonishing. I don't even know how to describe it. It was such a moving, exciting thing to watch, and I was just, oh man, and again, that's one that is not new because it's at a showcase on this show, and I'm glad for that because that means more people are hearing about it, and oh boy, just such a good time.
It's a masterpiece, and I honestly just mentioning it here again makes me want to rewatch it again.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I mean, and the visuals are truly stunning, but it's more than just beautiful eye candy. It's just this story and these characters just rip you apart in the best way. I just love it.
I listened to the episode of this show about it, and that almost made me start crying again. It was.
Well, it made Emma and I cry when we recorded it. So
yeah.
Go listen to that if you haven't already.
By all means, absolutely, do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last super quick one, and then I'll get to a couple much more recent ones that I'm very excited to talk more about.
Good.
I watched through Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was such a fun time.
Such a fun time.
I believe you have an episode about that one, right? This is not brand new. Okay,
Bryn
cool.
and I discussed that one as well.
Okay, nice. So if you don't know, if you haven't heard of it before, go listen to that episode. But super short version, it's like this. It's a Netflix show with this very bizarre, almost a little bit post-apocalyptic, but in a very colorful and inventive and creative and less dark way.
Yes, yeah.
And it does some fascinating choices with their music style that I wouldn't have expected, and some choices with their characters that are just so much fun. And like, oh boy, even though it's a much shorter it's a shorter show than some of the other things I've been into recently, but it was such a fun ride. Really bizarre. Quirky is another good word for it.
Yeah, definitely quirky.
Yeah.
It feels very, very fresh, for sure.
Definitely. Okay. Those were all the short ones because those are the ones I think I'd already mentioned to you, because like, there are certain shows where like when I'm watching them, the person who told me about them, I will be like texting them all of my reactions.
Which I love.
And that's fun. Right. I'm glad it's fun because it's very fun for me, and I'm I'm not sure if I'm always a little concerned that maybe it's not as exciting for the other people and just like, oh cool, I have 52 new messages.
No, it's like, oh yes, I have 52 new messages. Jamie must be
good.
watching something I recommended.
That's absolutely it.
And here's the great thing, guys. Insider note about Jamie's messages to me about the shows that he's watching. They're almost always hilarious.
Oh.
You're always commenting on things
man.
that just make me laugh. So wonderful.
Good. Oh, I'm so happy about that. So, I would say the first of the three big ones. I am finally watching Haikyu. And
yes! Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Unfortunately, because I'm a slow watcher of getting through things on my list, I just finished season 2. So now that I've moved away from Netflix, I have to find some other way of watching to the top. But I just finished season 2, and I'm absolutely having the time of my life. Do you think I need to do like a summary at all, or can I just...
Basic summary of Haikyu.
Right.
High school men's volleyball team.
Right.
The end.
Yeah.
Sports anime. You get what you get.
Yeah, it really is.
A bunch of like silly, dumb high school guys who are really passionate about volleyball.
Just super intense about volleyball, like to an absurd degree, but it's so fun.
Yeah.
What really kills me about this show, I think this is something I've already mentioned to you, but the one thing that absolutely destroys me, and I hate it, even though it's objectively a fantastic story choice, because of the setup of volley tournaments, right? Like, by nature, a lot of people are going to lose, and that's the end of the tournament for them, right? Like, obviously. But what Haikyu does is every single time a team loses, it doesn't matter if they're the antagonist, doesn't matter if they had bullies on their team, doesn't matter if like, oh, I really hope those guys get put in their place. Every single time you get a deep dive into like how crushed they are. And it's heartbreaking.
Yes.
It's absolutely awful, and it makes me so sad every time. And like, even though, I mean, it happens to the main characters a few times, obviously, but like, even when it's not the main characters, even when it's people you don't know that well because they're sort of side characters, even when it's them, they do such a good job of reminding you they worked so hard to get here, and it's just done. And it's crushing.
It is.
Like, you're never fully, like, conscience clean happy about anyone winning.
Yeah, I mean, they take the time to look at the losing side, and you care about them too. It's just like,
oh my gosh,
it can be emotional.
There's I believe this is in like the latter half of season 2. There's this big crazy tournament happening, obviously, and one of the losing teams, when everyone has like done their handshakes and like left the building, and one of the characters who you've seen a little bit of, he just like breaks down as he's looking out at the sunset, and he says, I don't, like, it's not even that I wanted to win. Like, of course I wanted to win, but I just want to keep playing, and now we can't. Yeah. And, like, that killed me. I was so unprepared for that. Like, boy, I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's just, they're all so excited about it and so passionate, and you can't have competition if there wasn't that factor of loss, right? So I'm not saying, like, I wish that wasn't a thing, because that would defeat the whole purpose. But even so, it is so... You want to feel that way, though. You want to be like, God, I just wish they could all win. I wish everyone could win.
Just want all the volleyball boys to keep playing and being happy.
It's brutal. And it's weird that that's the first thing I commented on, because it's such a fun and lighthearted show for the most part. But, like, I might be exaggerating a little bit. This is not a sad show.
No,
like, that's not the point.
I would define it, categorize it as, like, fluffy, feel good kind of anime.
Yeah.
Because there are definitely dramatic moments or sad moments, but in general, you just are just like, I just look at my little happy volleyball boys.
Yeah. I think the weirdly sad aspect of it jumped to mind because it was the thing I was not expecting the most. But if I was trying to be a little more, like, just describing the show in general, I wouldn't put that first. I would first put, like, how lovable the characters are and how goofy most of them are, and how the story is, for the most part, pretty simple, because it's sports. So, like, you have your team, you're focusing on the goal they're trying to get to, and they try to get to it, and then there's wins and losses, you know? And, like, there's nothing earth-shattering about that, but the characters and their... Like you said, their passion for winning and playing and all that stuff is really what just makes it shine, and I'm so impressed.
It's such a fun one. Okay, quick question for you, Jamie. I just need to know, have you watched Skate the Infinity?
No.
Oh, you're hurting my soul.
I know. And everything I hear more about it makes me so much more excited to watch it.
Because speaking of sports anime with lovable idiots, Skate the Infinity is perfect.
Oh my gosh. I know I gotta. Like, I've heard nothing but good things. And, like, exciting things. Like, weird little tidbits of, like, I haven't heard about an anime even doing that with one of its characters. Like, I can't wait to see this show, right? It's just...
Highly recommend. I expect to see 52 more messages about that one.
Right.
All right. Well, I definitely have mentioned it plenty of times on the show, so listeners have heard me ramble about it forever. But that's just my quick reminder, I guess, to everyone that, hey, don't forget to watch Skate the Infinity.
Watch Skate the Infinity, right.
It's amazing, and I love it.
There's two short anime I just watched over the last couple months, and one of them is Mob Psycho, which I love to death.
Oh, so brilliant.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't need to talk a ton about that one because that's the more well known, but maybe we could talk more about that one.
Here's the thing: I don't think we talked about it much on the podcast.
Interesting. Okay.
And now that you've watched it, I'm like, maybe we need to do a full-length episode someday. But
what? That'd be so awesome. Okay.
Mob Psycho 100 is one of the best anime I've seen.
You guys, I was blown away. Like, I guess I should have expected as much from the same creator and same team behind One Punch Man, but I was still not prepared. I was absolutely like... I'm not even sure where to start. Like, the humor of it, the setup, or maybe the characters. Like, I don't know. It's all...
Like, just a brief, like, synopsis. It's a shonen anime.
Right.
Where the protagonist is very, very OP. He's a psychic. He has psychic abilities. And he can pretty much obliterate anything.
Right.
But he wants to be a normal kid. So he stuffs down his emotions. And what happens is, as you watch him interact through daily life, you just watch a percentage go up as certain things like cause him emotional distress. And eventually, when it reaches 100, hence the title of the series, Mob Psycho 100. When it reaches 100%, he has so much emotion he can't handle it anymore. He lets his psychic powers loose, and all chaos ensues.
Watching that number go up when you don't 100% fully know what it means is terrifying. like not that this is a horror anime in any way, but like just in the sense that you don't know exactly what that means for the story, and like the numbers just keep going up, and you just get like more and more nervous about it.
It's
my
so
gosh.
Good. But it's funny too. Like, it's dramatic and super intense action, but like you said, the humor is top notch.
I could not be more of a fan. The way you described Mob is really cool, because I don't think I hadn't considered it condensed into a single sentence like that, but it really is the story of someone with incredible powers who like doesn't want to use them and wants to be a normal person and like tries to be nice and be friends with everyone. And like that is so sad. But it's such a wonderful, cute way. Like,
yes, it's so precious because Mob like joins the fitness club because he wants to be strong, like normal people, not like a weird psychic.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the body improvement club.
Yes, that's what it's called. Oh gosh.
They are like a group of these like super ripped gym bros, right? And they're all about like lifting weights and like getting swole, and like they are so excited about they're so into fitness, and partially because of like stereotypes of that kind of person that you've probably heard, it is such a shocker when they turn out to be the most wonderful and delightful people. And, like, they're super friendly. And they're just like, yeah, man, let's go. Like, you can do it. You're the best.
That's it. It's like, just like we were talking with Haikyu. Yeah. They are what you'd assume would be really, like, bully type characters because they're big and strong. But little wimpy Mob comes and is like, I want to join your club. And they're like, great. Yeah, let us help you. Like, we're going to help you become buff too. Like, it's just like, oh, how sweet.
Yeah. And every like small accomplishment he does, they're like so encouraging about it. Like, yeah, man, you did it. It's wonderful. The secondary main character, and in some ways, some parts of the story are more about him, and this is so genius, I can't praise it enough. This is the beginning of the story, so it's not a spoiler. He is, in a world where people have psychic powers, a fake psychic. That is gold. I can't express how good of a writing choice that is. I picture someone like writing that like hunched over a desk in Japan, and then they just kind of like flick their pen and they're just like, I'm done. I did it. That's the best writing. We're done. Like,
truly.
It's so good.
It's so funny.
He's like everyone's favorite character too. He's become quite a meme. Boy.
Brilliant.
I cannot recommend, that's the word I was looking for. I can't recommend this show enough, y'all.
Yeah, please give it a try.
I believe both seasons are like 11 or 12 episodes each, so it's pretty decently short.
Yeah.
At least where it is now. I have no idea if there's plans to continue the story. But yeah, boy, that is a fun one. The other one, and this might go quicker because it's more obscure, so I think it'll just be me rambling for a few minutes. There is an anime that was from like 4 years ago, I believe. The name is always tricky because both the English and Japanese names are tough to remember. I believe it's called Kekai Sensen, and the English name is Blood Blockade Battlefront. So this is so goofy to explain, but I absolutely loved it, so I'm still recommending it.
Awesome. I haven't heard of it, so I need to know everything.
Yeah. I randomly found this video on YouTube, which turned out to later be about the ending theme for this show. And it turns out the show kind of has a more famous ending theme, right? And it's just these characters sort of dancing on a giant stage, but in a very cool, rhythmic, very well edited way that links up with all the music and stuff. And I just thought, oh, that's really fun. That's super charming and delightful, and the music is really catchy. Like, I wonder what this is, right? So I look into it a little bit more, and it's like, oh, it's from this anime. Okay, sure. I don't know anything about it. Let's give it a shot. And oh boy, you know the setting of Men in Black, where like it's the normal world, but there's demons and aliens everywhere, but they're also just kind of like chill about it, and they just like get coffee like normal people and stuff.
Yeah.
It's sort of like that.
Great.
So
Sounds like
New
an
York,
anime.
New York had some kind of cosmic event happen to it, and a dimension got crossed or something. So now New York, which is now called Hell Salem's Lot, is just this bizarre hub world full of... It's still got humans in it, but there's also demons and monsters and vampires and everything you can think of, right? But they're all just trying to live a normal life. And, like, they go grab burgers at the corner store, and everyone just kind of hangs out for the most part. Except, I mean, there's actually tons of crime, so I shouldn't say everyone just kind of hangs out. It is one of the weirdest settings I've ever come across, but it's so much fun, y'all. Like, the main character, and this is one of my favorite tropes for a main character. The main character is named Leo, and he is just a normal dude who's, like, doing his best. Through shenanigans, and this is in episode 1, so it's not a spoiler, through shenanigans, he ends up joining a group of, like, super-powered, again, Men in Black comes to mind. They're like we watch over the city and make sure that the craziness of the supernatural and the alien and demonic, and that doesn't get too out of hand, and we go on missions, and we fight the bad guys and stuff, because we have our super fighting blood superpowers. And he ends up joining that group, which is a problem, because he has no powers. He doesn't have any fighting powers. He has a really cool, like, eye thing. He has what they call the eyes of the gods, right? And this is all set up. He can see through disguises. He can see through things that are supposed to be invisible. If he really concentrates, he can just, like, see super far into the edges of the city. So his eyes are like this super incredible powerful thing, and a lot of people want that power, right? The problem is, he can't actually fight. So he's just this normal human guy, like, running around from explosion to explosion, trying really hard to not get killed.
Wow.
Literally everyone else in the cast is just like, well, Leo's about to die again, I guess we better go save him.
I love this premise. This sounds great.
I could not be more delighted with it. And of course, you know how, you know, as the story goes on, they meet more and more characters, and he ends up befriending more and more people, and, like, I guess it is a little serious. There is some blood, and there are some kind of high stakes at some points, but it doesn't feel overly serious, because there's so many moments of just weirdly hanging out, like, even though parts of the city are still falling apart.
Yeah.
It's a very odd... You know what? People have described it as slice of life, and that didn't sit well with me at first, because I thought the setting was so much more dark and intense, and it kind of is, but slice of life still fits for some reason.
Interesting.
I'm not sure how else to put it. Like, there'll be an episode
shonen, so
yeah,
it's like both.
Yeah, I don't know where to categorize it exactly. There will be an episode where, like, one of the members of this group has to, like, play this very high stakes game of chess that lasts for months, and if he, like, makes a mistake, there will be these horrible consequences, and, like, it's in a weird alternate dimension. And then after that, there'll be an episode where, like, Leo finds a guy who really likes burgers, and he has to buy him some burgers. but then the guy eats all the burgers, and then he gets mad at him, and then they have to go find more burgers. And like, it's so dumb, but it is so much fun to watch. The tone feels... I'm almost tempted to say the tone is inconsistent, but for some reason it doesn't feel like a detriment at all, if that makes sense. It still feels like I'm having a great time over here. Like...
I'm sold. I'm definitely adding it to my watch list, yeah.
I believe... I think that's another one where there are 2 seasons. Unfortunately, that one is done for sure. There's 2 seasons, and they're each like 11 or 12 episodes again. And they kind of do the thing where... for the most part, it's these weird snapshots, and then towards the end of the season, they'll introduce a little bit more of a connecting story, and it gets a little more intense, and it gets a little less lighthearted, but not in a way that, like, ruins what they already had, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it ties it up into a more coherent thing when you're getting to the big story at the end, but not in a way that changes the fundamental setup of the show, because it's a show about aliens and demons hanging out in New York. It's so strange, but I just love it a lot. And I never would have found it if not for this random video that was about how catchy the ending theme is. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's the whole reason I brought that up, is because the ending theme is all of these characters, but they're animated and drawn as if they were actors. And now that performance is over, so they're just hanging out and doing a big dance. Like, they're all wearing, they're wearing even different costumes and stuff. They're all acting as if they're friends, even though some of them are enemies in the show. Like, the ending, it takes the framing as if they just got done with their performance or their rehearsal, and now they're just hanging out and having a big dance party. And for some, I know that's not, they're not the very first to do that, I'm sure, but I just found that so charming and, like, so fun, I guess.
Yeah. As I'm looking up Blockade Battlefront, I am noticing that you just recommended another Studio Bones production, which Mob Psycho is also Studio Bones, by the way.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
And y'all, I'm about to recommend the 3rd Studio Bones anime in a row. And if you don't know, Studio Bones did Full Metal Alchemist, Soul Eater, etc.
Gotcha. Okay, that does sound more familiar. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my 3rd Studio Bones anime
right.
the episode is my current anime obsession, Bungo Stray Dogs. Have you heard of this?
I don't think so, actually.
All right, guys.
Interesting.
This is detective agency plus anime powers.
What? Okay. So,
the main character, Atsushi, is an orphan, and he's like just down on his luck, and he runs into this pair of detectives, and they're, doing a specific detective work, etc. And he basically gets roped into this detective agency where
nice.
Everyone, most of them, have special abilities.
Of course, yep.
Of course. And so, like, one of the main characters, his special ability is that he can write the name of something down on a piece of paper, and it'll become that item. So he often will write...
Okay.
Or he'll write, like, guns or something, and so then he'll always be pulling out a gun, but he, like, wrote it. Like, he doesn't have to keep a gun on. He just keeps a notebook on him, and that's his thing. And then there's, like, one guy who, like, can, through kind of a weird way, can basically kind of distribute himself around everywhere, so you don't know where he is because he's kind of, like, hidden, I guess.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
And then, like, with one of the main characters, of course, his power is, like, anti-power, so that basically if he ever comes in physical contact with anyone else with a power, their power is, overwritten, basically.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
And so it's all these crazy, fun, interesting anime powers, but in a very, like, detective, like, sometimes it's a murder mystery type feel.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And it's absolutely 100% a comedy.
Good.
On top of
Okay.
all of that. Like,
Oh, excellent.
there are definitely some serious moments for sure. Like, they are dealing with, some pretty intense line of work, and there's some action sequences and things. Like, but for the most part, this is a comedy, and it absolutely hits my funny bone just in the right way.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So I'm just having a blast with it. Obviously, like I said, Studio Bones, it looks beautiful. It's just a whole bunch of, like, idiot detectives going on cases. Like, that's, like, it's my jam. It is fully, like, this is, like, made for Kelly TV right here.
Made for Kelly TV. Putting that setup in a detective agency sounds wonderful. Like, just the idea of that. Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
they've got their rival. There's, like, mafia that's after them, of course. And then there's, like,
okay.
Other stuff going on. But, like, but yeah, it's just, like, it's shown in action fun times, and also just super comedic, like, crazy characters that interact well with each other. So
Yeah.
it's fun times to be had.
Yeah, I need to check this out because this sounds fantastic. Can you say the name? What was the name again?
Bungo Stray Dogs. And it's kind of written like Bungo, so Bungo, Stray Dogs.
Okay.
And I haven't quite figured out exactly what that means.
A very mysterious title, yeah.
A one translation is literary stray dogs. There is one moment, at least so far, that they've, a character referred to themselves as stray dogs because they are kind of, like, originally cast out from society. I don't know what literary means, but I will say that there are some powers that are, like, actually named after literary, the classic literature thing. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. Maybe I'm missing something here, but Bungo Stray Dogs. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a fun time, and you might have a fun time too. So check it out. So that's it for this What You Watching. We just gave a whole bunch of great shows that everyone should watch. And definitely let us know what you're watching, if you've seen any of these titles. If there's some other titles that you've been watching that you would highly recommend, let us know. You can email us at fanimatedpodcast@gmail.com or by messaging us on Instagram and Facebook at fanimatedpodcast. You can also leave us a rating and a review telling us what we should be watching, or if you like any of the titles that we mentioned, or if we need to do a full-length episode on Mob Psycho 100, let us know.
Oh, I would be there in a heartbeat. That sounds so fun.
I need an excuse to rewatch it. You can also vote for upcoming episode topics and hear bonus episodes by joining the Fanimated crew over at patreon.com/fanimated. And thank you to everyone who already supports the show and makes this podcast possible.
Woo!
Our music is provided by Purple Planet Music, and the art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. And thank you again, Jamie, for joining me. This was so fun.
Yeah. I was so excited to just talk about this list I had pulled up. So
it's always fun to hear what you guys have been watching. So we will talk to you next week. In the meantime, stay tuned
and stay animated.
I just need to read one of Jamie's messages to me about Haikyu.
Oh no.
It says, in full caps, I was fully intending to go to bed, but the score is now tied at 24 in the final set. I guess I'm watching at least one more. That's it. That's the summary of Haikyu in a nutshell.